Greg, the rural economist, and as I promised, the Wild Edibles series is back. This is Wild Edibles number 25. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about acorns, but before we do that, I have to do the disclaimer. There's a lot of things out there that are good to eat. Some of them taste really good for you. There's a lot of others, however, that are not. If you're not completely sure what something is, don't eat it until after you've consulted a local expert. So let's talk about acorns, I don't care how you say it. There are 600 varieties of oak trees around the world. They're in every continent. This is one of those that I love talking about because it doesn't matter where you're watching, odds are really high that there's an oak tree fairly close to you. There are three primary divisions of oak trees. There's the white oak, the red oak, and the black oak. Oak has been known and used for lumber and all kinds of things for as long as people have been around. Oak is strong, it's sturdy, but it also deposits something like this. Lovely acorns. Now, acorns has been used a long time as forage for pigs, swine. And if you try to look it up, acorn finished pork is extremely expensive. I looked up one ham that was prosciutto cured, but it was acorn finished, and they wanted $750 for a ham. Historically in the United States, people would, especially before the chestnut blight came through, people would shovel chestnuts and acorns into their pigs, and they were fed it almost exclusively. Now, acorns are really cool in that if you've been around a while, if you watched any of the videos very much, there's one nutrient that it's incredibly difficult to find if you're trying to eat a wild food diet, and that is carbohydrates. Acorns actually have 50% carbohydrates, something like 4% protein, depending upon which variety, anywhere from 4% to 6% fat. In fact, there are places in the world where they actually mash acorns and create acorn oil. Now, it's not what you can buy in the United States. Most of the acorn oil is used in North Africa and South Asia. Okay, so all of your acorns have something in it called tannins. Now, tannins are not good. Car going by, so we're going to pause. There we go. All right. Tannins are not good. If you eat too many tannins, it can damage your liver. A rule of thumb is the smaller the cap, the fewer tannins. White oaks have the smaller tannins. Now, I've got one right here. Okay. I don't know if you can see it. There's the cap. And inside it's got the little acorn. So that's a great big cap compared to the size of the acorn. So that's going to be incredibly full of tannins. There are some white oaks that you can eat raw. Here's the thing though, if it's bitter, it's got tannins in it. Most of the ones that you can eat raw, again, are North Africa and South Asia. In order to eat any of the ones in the United States, in Europe, in South America, they have to go through a processing first. Now, what the processing is depends on how you want to use it. You can roast these things, and they're actually quite good. I've done that a few times. You can make a flour out of them. I love acorn flour pancakes. But in order to do that, you've got to process them. So how do you do that? Well, you gather up your acorns, and you let them dry over several days. That way they're easy to get out of their shell. And you get them out of their shell, and if you're wanting to roast them whole, you take the meats of the nuts and you boil a pot of water, and you put the acorns in there, and you boil them for 15 minutes, and then you let it completely cool. You dispose of the water, and you repeat that process until the water is clear after boiling. The first time you do it, it's going to be like a dark yellowy brown. It's going to smell bitter. My dad says that eating acorns is as bitter as quinine. Now, I've never tried quinine, but obviously he has. So you got to process it. Okay, and you continue to do that, I've already said, until the water is completely clear. After it's clear, you allow them to dry out, and then you throw them in the oven and you roast them. Okay, now I saw one site doing my research for this video that said, yeah, you just do it a few times, just make sure that the water's fairly clear, and then you roast them, and if they're bitter, just dip them in honey to do away with the bitter taste. No! Okay? You're still eating tannins. I mean, I guess if you're only eating a few, using them maybe as a snack, that might be okay. But if you're trying to use them as a wild food, as a replacement food, don't do it. If they're bitter, they're not been processed enough. If you're going to use a flour, if you're going to try to make a flour or a meal, then you let them dry, you crack them, and then you grind them either in a grinder or a mortar and pestle. Okay? After you do that, you put them in there and then you soak them, and the color will change of the water. You put them through a strainer, you dispose of the water, you continue to do that until the water runs clear. Now, for acorn pancakes, you got to go through all of that, and then you mix it with 50% regular wheat flour, and it makes a really good nutty flavored pancake. Okay? Now, red oak and black oak are the most bitter by far. Okay? By far. Black oak's the worst. Red oak, when you cut into it, to me, smells kind of like a watermelon, at least the ones around here. Black oak in the United States, and actually several other countries, was used historically to create a clothing dye. In fact, my great-grandfather used to cut wagon loads and spend a day to go to the river to sell his dye wood, and then he would have a day back. So go out, look around, explore what's around you. There's so much out there. Acorns, good to know, good calories. Oh, a pound of cracked acorns after dried and processed has approximately 1,285 calories. So it's in the wild, unless you're eating little furry land creatures or fish, it's going to be a really good supply source of calories. Okay? This is Greg, the Rural Economist, and I hope you have a great day, and step by step we're bringing rural back. Bye-bye.